What's happening around the world and what's happening here at home.
A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Mariam Ganavijaya.
And I'm Sandra Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Debt restructuring plan presented to Cabinet. President meets parties representing the ruling faction. Address the nation and reveal the debt restructuring plan. Opposition leader tells President. Protests against the Aswasuma welfare benefit scheme continue even today. Proposal to reinstate local government institutions that were dissolved. Gazette issued announcing the government's intention to amend 3 acts. Sediments of Oil covers the Sarakua beach in Negombo once more.
The President's Media Division says that the Cabinet has unanimously given the green light for the Sri Lanka's domestic debt restructuring program proposed by the Ministry of Finance.
Now, the domestic debt restructuring program will be tabled in Parliament soon.
A special cabinet meeting chaired by President Ranil Wickremesinghe was held on Wednesday afternoon. The domestic debt restructuring program proposed by the Ministry of Finance was unanimously approved at the cabinet meeting. The President's Media Division said all MPs of the ruling faction were notified on the matter at the President's office. This proposal is set to be tabled in Parliament. Meanwhile, the Speaker issued a Gazette notification convening Parliament on Saturday.
We held a broad discussion on the debt restructuring program. This debt restructuring program will not affect any bank deposits or the banks in the country. A decision was also reached to allow a 9% interest for the provident funds. Usually it is the central bank that decides the interest for these provident funds. They assure that there will be no effect to the provident fund and that the interest will not go below 9%. There was nothing as such. Some of them spoke out loud at the meeting, but there were no arguments. The governor explained the process of implementing the program.
Chairman of the Committee on Public Finance, Dr. Harsha De Silva, says all parties concerned will be summoned to the Committee on Public Finance tomorrow once the debt restructuring process is approved by the Cabinet.
We have invited the Central Bank, the Public Finance Committee, the Treasury, the Attorney General, the Auditor General, representatives and heads of all banks, the Provident Funds and the Insurance Corporation to the meeting on the 29th of June. All those parties are related to the debt restructuring process. We hope that the Central Bank Governor, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, and the Acting Secretary of the Ministry of Finance will attend the meeting tomorrow. This meeting will solely focus on the debt restructuring process. The opposition leader has confirmed his participation. We will amend the law if any need arises for the people. We will submit the laws that need to be amended and will get the approval on Saturday. Then we will have to refer the proposal first and only then will we have to make a decision on how things will go forward.
Meanwhile, leader of the opposition says that the president should announce the debt restructuring process to the nation.
The president should address the nation and make a clear statement whether there will be a restructuring of domestic debt and if it is done, whether it will be a debt write-off, interest write-off or a combination of all. Whatever they do, the country needs to know what is happening through this program to the financial system, to the provident funds, to the working masses of this country, to the pensioners, to the general public and their own deposits.
The Freedom People's Congress stressed on the need for domestic debt restructuring process to be elaborated in depth while addressing a media briefing today.
Now, President Wickremesinghe is saying that there is no problem and the interests won't be slashed and that the banking system won't be affected. He says people won't be pressured because of this and not to worry about it. However, while saying so, he fails to mention the process. Let's take a look at the decisions they made. Parliament has been summoned on Saturday. The Parliament gathers on weekends on urgent occasions such as instances when public security is affected. As far as I can remember, the UK Parliament was only summoned on a Saturday to announce the war against the Falklands. What is happening? Although the President says nothing is going on, the decisions they are making are suspicious.
ආණ්ඩුවේ දේශපාලඥයන් විදියට මේ පිළිබඳව ගන්නා වූ තීන්දුව අපිට සැකසහිතයි.
State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siambalapitiya made the following remarks regarding the Aswasama Welfare Benefit Scheme today.
ඩොලර් වලින් ගත්තොත් බිලියන 83ක් ණයයි රජය. ඒකෙන්
3.7 million people filed applications under the Aswasama Welfare Benefit Scheme to obtain welfare benefits, saying that they need financial assistance. 500,000 people were eliminated from the selection process after the house visits were done, leaving the remaining applicants at 3.2 million. This process was subject to many conversations during the past few days, but this is not the finalized list of names. This is the list of names which is published with the data we have collected as of now. The government's plan is to go ahead with the appeals and the objections. I noticed, as of yesterday, there were around 200,000 appeals filed. Not just the appeals, express your objections on this properly and take necessary action. The government is ready to commit to that.
තාම වගකීමෙන් කියනවා මහ බැංකුව ඒ වුණි කිසිදු දෙයක් අපි කරන්නේ නැහැ. කපා හැරීම් වලට යන්නේ නැහැ. ඒකයි. අනිත් තාක්ෂණික කාරණා ටික අපි කතා කරමු ලබන සතියේ.
A decision was reached to open special counters at all divisional secretariats from Wednesday to file objections and appeals over the Aswasama Welfare Benefit Program. Now, members of Welfare Benefit Board, Kamal Padmaseri says a team has been allocated for this process.
However, those who were not included in the Aswasama Welfare Benefit Program are continuing to express their displeasure over this program. Several protests were held across Sri Lanka on Wednesday as well.
Some of the beneficiaries from the Imbagamuwa were not included in the Aswasama Welfare Benefit Scheme staged a protest in Imbagamuwa town against the government's decision. The protesters blocked the Kurunegala-Tambulla main road, resulting in vehicular movement along the road being hampered. Police then intervened and removed the protesters from the road. The group later marched up to the Imbagamuwa Divisional Secretariat and continued their protest. There are 4 members in the family. My husband is paralyzed. Both my children are doing their A-levels. They lied about the QR system. I lost my husband 22 years ago. I have 2 daughters. They removed me from the program claiming that my daughter has enough money. How can my daughter's assets affect me? I am a daily wage earner. My husband and I fell ill. They have cut my name off the list by giving false information. Another group of protesters blocked the Ganeshapuram section along the Vaunia-Mana main road. A tense situation arose when the police tried to remove the protesters from blocking the road. Another group of Samud beneficiaries who were not included in the Aswasama Welfare Benefit Scheme staged a protest in front of the Ahliyagoda Divisional Secretariat on Wednesday. The Ahliyagoda Divisional Secretary then met the protesters.
අපේ ළමයි කරේ ෆෝන් එකක් අරන් ගිහලා ඔයාලා කියන තොරතුරු ටික මේකට ඇඩ් කරගත්තා. ඒක අපි ඉන්ටර්නෙට් එකෙන් ඔය කියන දෙන්නට යවුවා. එහෙන් අපිට ලයිස්ට් එක print කරලා එවලා තියෙනවා. ඒ ලයිස්ට් එකේ අඩුපාඩුවට මොකද්ද උනේ කොහොමද හැදුනේ කියලා කියන්නේ මම දන්නේ නෑනේ. වේදි නැතිලා කොහොමද ඉතින් අපිට මේකෙන් සාහනය ලබා දෙන්න කියලා තමයි ඉල්ලා හිටින්නේ.
අත්‍යවශ්‍යම කියන අපේ ගාවේ වට්ටක් කර 4-5 තියෙන මිනිහෙක් ඉන්නවා. ඒ මනුස්සයාට සමුද්දේ තියෙන අපේ සමුද්දේ නෑ. අපිට ගෙදර එක්කෙන තනිප නැති. මමත් තනිප නැති.
Another protest was staged opposite the Thalawekale Divisional Secretariat.
වස්සාවක් කරගන්න බෑ. මමයි වයිපු ඉන්නේ වයිප් තසනිපේ නෑ. හරි අසන්න විදියට අපි ජීවත් වෙන්නේ. පුරවන්න ආපු කට්ටියත් ඒකට ඕන විදිහට තමයි ඒගොල්ලෝ පිරෙවි.
ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම කියනවා නම් අපේ ගෙවල් වලට සමහරක් ඒගොල්ලෝ සමීක්ෂණයට ආවේ නෑ. නිකන් සමුද්දලාභීව කපලා තියෙනවා. ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම මේක හරිම අසාධාරණ වැඩක්. සල්ලි තියෙන කට්ටියට දෙනවා නැති මිනිස්සුන්ට මොනවත් නැහැ.
Residents from 14 Gram and Ladari divisions in the Putlam district handed over their appeals for the Aswasama program at the Mahakumbuk Kadavela Divisional Secretariat. My child is in grade 1. My other child is sitting for scholarship exam. This is the only relief we got, and now they are waving it off. SLPP MP and the General Secretary of the All Island Samurdhi and Agriculture Officers Union, Jagat Kumara, met former President and SLPP leader Mahinda Rajapaksa today.
Speaking on the risk of implementing this now, he mentioned that there will be a wave of protest across the country threatening the government, and the government will face a serious crisis as a result. He assured that he will take all necessary steps to temporarily change this after discussing with the President and the government, and that he will support this as a party. The former President mentioned that this is a time where the people suffering from poverty must be given benefits, and there is no point of implementing programs slashing such benefits. People are demanding the Samurdhi and not the Aswasama. Samurdhi cannot be destroyed by Aswasama. We will fight against it if they try to destroy it.
The Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka distributed dry rations to 500 people living in Halielabadulla and Soronata Divisional Secretariat on Wednesday.
Sri
Lanka has a unique, independent and a very intrinsic culture and has been subjected to various invasions and persecutions in the past. Sri Lankan stayed strong and faced these various hardships. We believe that they will continue to do so and will overcome these difficulties anytime soon. China is committed to help you to protect Sri Lanka's independence, sovereignty and proud culture.
Paddy farmers across Sri Lanka are continuing their protests, demanding the authorities to set up a proper mechanism and a certified price to sell their harvest.
Agrarian Services Union Collective of the Kilinochchi district held a protest march demanding the authorities to get a certified price to sell their paddy. The protesters marched from the Paddy Marketing Board Divisional Office up to the Kilinochchi Divisional Secretariat and continued their protest opposite the Kilinochchi Divisional Secretariat. Another similar protest demanding the authorities to set a certified price to sell paddy took place in the Batiklo town. The protesters then marched up to the Batiklo Divisional Secretariat to hand over a letter.
දුක්මාන්සිලා නිදිමරලා අලියාගෙන් බේරලා අරකගෙන් බේරලා වීගෙනලා ගෙදරට ගෙනාවම ඒක හරියට විකුණා ගන්න බැරි වෙන්නේ නැති. කරුණා කරලා බී වලට මිලේ දෙන්න අපිට.
A similar protest took place in the Tamuttegama town as well. The protest was organized by the All Ceylon Agrarian Federation.
Why are we demanding 130 rupees for a kilo of paddy? When we refer the statistics issued by the government, the production cost of a kilo of paddy is at 100 rupees. With this production cost, we need at least 130 rupees for a kilo of paddy.
Meanwhile, a group of farmers from the Mahao area held a protest alleging that the fertilizer concessions given to them for the Yala season was not enough. The protest was staged opposite the Mahao Agrarian Services Centre. Farmers allege that only 4 kilos of urea fertilizer is given to them, and that is not enough.
News first with the people.
A child needs freedom and clarity of mind to unlock his or her full potential.
Today, Gammather took action to secure the lives of a group of children in Kurunegala who until today engaged in their daily academic activities in fear of imminent wild elephant attacks.
Eriyava in the Kurunegala district is an area where the human-elephant conflict has persisted for a very long time. Most children in this village attend the Mahinda Primary School, falling under the Mahava education zone. Wild elephants not only encroach into the villages and farms, but also the school. This has led parents to remain in constant fear of their children's lives. How would a parent feel if a wild elephant roamed into the school their children study at? An electric fence surrounding the school was the best solution to this matter, and Gammadda was notified by the locals of this need. Retired Customs Director Mr. Ranjan Pesari Dantanarayana from Ratmalana offered to provide financial assistance for this virtuous deed. This morning, construction started on erecting an electric fence surrounding the school. General Secretary of the Gammadda, Prasanna Athukorala, and Gammadda team were present at the event to commence the setting up of the fence. The Mahasangha, led by the chief incumbent of the Palukodavela Sri Ivasi Karamaya temple, offered blessings. Assistant Divisional Secretary of Ahatuava, HLTM Vijay Singha, Deputy Director of Education for the Mahava Division, RAHMS Bandara, and the Principal of Mahinda Primary School, Anil Gamini Vijayaratna, heaped praise on Gammadda's latest efforts.
ගම්මැද්දෙන් මේ කර වැඩසටහන නිසා අපිට දැන් කිසිම බයක් නැතුව අපේ දරුවෝ පාසල් යවන්න පුළුවන්. අපට ගොඩාක් සතුටුයි අද මේ වැඩසටහන පිළිබඳව.
ගම්මැද්ද ඇත්තටම ගොඩක් හයියක් අපිට අපේ දරුවන්ගේ අනාගතයට අපි හැමදාම ගම්මැද්දට ආදරේ. අපි හැමදාමත් ගම්මැද්ද සමග සිටිනවා.
මේ වගේ වැඩසටහන අපේ ගම් වලට පළවෙනි වතාවට තමයි මේ ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒක අපිට ලොකු ආඩම්බරයක්.
ඉස්සර අපි ගොඩාක් බයෙන් හිටියේ දරුවා ඉස්කෝලේ යලා ගෙදර යනකොට යනකම් අපේ බයක් තිබුණා. දැන් අපිට බය නැති වෙයි කියලා මම හිතනවා.
This electric fence will be fully functional very soon, bringing relief to the parents, teachers and children alike. The Gammadda team will be in Eriyava on that day to witness the impact Gammadda has made, one project at a time, and this time to secure the lives of Sri Lanka's future custodians.
There are moments in life that change you. Those moments fill the heart and touch the soul. These are the moments we live for. These are the moments we dream of. Dreams of love, dreams of peace. And these are the dreams that come true. Thank you for dreaming with us. Let's move up.
Minister of Foreign Affairs, President's Counsel Ali Sabri attended a panel discussion on global debt explosion at the annual meeting of the New Champions 2023 of the World Economic Forum in Tianjin, China.
Minister Ali Sabri affirmed that there is a new wave of emerging creditors in the world, followed by China.
Unlike 10-15 years ago, 60% of this development finance and the debt comes from non-Paris Club and non-London Club members. So there is a new emerging creditors coming in. China is leading it, and so is the private creditors. So we need to have a ready-made template so that you could quickly do it. Because in Sri Lanka's case, for example, we were under stress for about 10 months. Until the first tranche came in from last April, we started the negotiation. We entered into the the staff level agreement in September. But since then, it took us almost 8 months toward the end of March for us to get the assurances from the creditors from all over in order to get the first tranche of the payment. By that time, countries are under real stress and countries could fall apart. So it's important that something ready-made has to be there. So it is therefore it's important that both China, the Paris Club, non-bilateral creditors like the private creditors, bondholders, all sit together and agree on a template. And number one. Number two is also it is time, for example, in Sri Lanka's case, we quickly applied and asked for a reverse graduation because we were not having access to low interest funding from these multilaterals. So we in fact spoke to the World Bank and to the ADB, reverse graduated so that we have access to funding.
The Sri Lankan rupee depreciated against the US dollar today.
According to the exchange rates published by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the selling price of a US dollar was 316 rupees and 67 cents on Wednesday. The buying rate of a US dollar was at 308 rupees and 83 cents.
A private member's bill presented by parliamentarian Jayantha Katagoda to amend 3 acts in order to give the subject minister powers to reform the local government institutions that were dissolved have been gazetted.
The bill amends several clauses including the Municipal Council Ordinance, Municipal Council Amendment Act and Local Authorities Act. If these sections are amended, it will empower the subject minister to reconvene the urban councils, municipal councils and Pradesh Sabha which have been dissolved earlier. The bill was gazetted on the 26th of June.
මේ යෝජනාවේ තා පැහැදිලිව ඔවුන් යෝජනා කරනවා මේ වෙනකොට මැතිවරණයට නාම යෝජනා.
Through this proposal, authority is given to the subject minister to reappoint members of local government bodies when the elections are postponed indefinitely without a proper legal framework. This is against democracy. If this bill is passed, the minister will be empowered to allow these local government bodies to continue for a long time without calling for any election. If we allow this now, they will try to adopt the same procedure for the parliament as well. We should be ashamed of bills like this. These bills are brought with the sole intention of strengthening their own political camp. The PAFRL will go before the Supreme Court against this bill in the near future.
මේ පනත් කෙටුම්පත සම්බන්ධයෙන් PAFRL සංවිධානයේ අපි ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණයට යනවා ඉදිරි දින කිහිපය තුල.
Sediments of oil have covered the Sarakwa beach in Negombo once more.
And the Marine Environment Protection Authority says samples of the sediments have been sent for tests.
The Sarakwa beach in Negombo, where the debris of the shipwreck Express Pearl was washed ashore, was seen covered in sediments of oil on Wednesday. Fisherfolk claim the substance could be oil spills from Express Pearl.
We told that the beach will be covered up by leaked oil from the ship in the monsoon season. Now the southwest monsoons has started. Now we can't even pull a fishing net. The oil has accumulated everywhere across the sea. No matter how much we complain on this to the officials, they don't respond to the issue.
The Marine Environment Protection Authority intervened and took steps to remove this substance from the beach today. The officials said that it can be determined whether the substance was oil after a test.
We are working to remove this as soon as possible under the supervision of our marine inspection safety officers. We can come to a certain conclusion only after getting the relevant laboratory results of the test whether it is exactly oil. We can't exactly come to a conclusion whether this is a waste from the Express Pearl or a different oil leak waste or something else.
The fishermen from Thaldiavatta and Hadala areas also pointed out that there were several locations earlier where oil was leaked from the Express Pearl. But at the time, the chairman of the Maritime Environment Protection Authority, Asela Rakava, observed the place and said there was no spillage of chemicals or oil from the shipwrecked Express Pearl.
Still continuing in local news, Sri Lanka Medical Association convening a media briefing today revealed the status of the National Medicines Regulatory Authority, which is the only entity in the country to regulate the imported medicines into the country.
The chairman of the Sri Lanka Medical Association, Dr. Vinya Aryaratna and Dr. Palita Bekon attended this media briefing.
On the 16th of January, we tendered a special letter to President Wickremesinghe asking the President to pay a special attention on the National Medicines Regulatory Authority. We informed the President that if this authority is not running smoothly, the whole health sector in the country will fall apart. It is the responsibility of the NMRA to ensure its standards. But this didn't happen. By February and March this year, we saw that the letter we sent to President has been forwarded to the Health Minister, but we did not receive any positive feedback to it. Then we lodged a complaint with the Human Rights Commission in Sri Lanka, and it is still in the inquiring stage. We made this complaint in this institute. With the collapse of the authority that is established to regulate these drugs, rotation of degraded medicines to the country with the prevailing medicine shortage in hospitals, we think that the laws which allow the waiving of registration is being misused here. Top of everything, the most serious concern, 4 representatives from 4 specialist institutes in the country, representatives from the College of Surgeons of Sri Lanka, representatives from the obstetricians and gynecologists, representatives from the College of Pediatrician and representatives from the Ceylon College of Physicians should sit in this director board. All these 4 institutes have already named their representatives to sit in this director board, but they have only appointed 2 from these 4 names. For some unknown reason, the minister has been reluctant to make these appointments. The Act itself has provisions making it mandatory to appoint these representatives from these 4 institutes as directors of the NMRA. For the first time in history, the public of this country has lost their faith on our country's health sector and the medicines that are being used here. If we allow this to continue, it will lead us to a more serious situation. This is an emergency situation and we need to act soon. 23 senior pharmacists who were working here have been transferred. When you transfer all your senior men at once, any institute will fall apart for sure. If the regulation of medicines do not take place in an orderly manner, we doctors too find it uncomfortable to carry out our work. People trying to ruin these regulatory bodies is another serious concern.
The LIC Divisavia Program, launched to lend a helping hand to students of Sri Lanka, was held centering the Hambantota district.
Today is day 53 of the LIC Divisavia Program. The LIC Divisavia Program is launched to lend a helping hand to students who are the future of Sri Lanka. Today's program was also held centering the Hambantota district. Books and other stationery equipment were distributed among students of the Palatudua Junior College, Ilukmulla Junior College, Valigatta Central College and Bundala Junior College. Exercise books and stationery items were also distributed for students at the Tangor Zonal Education Zone. This worthy initiative is a collaboration between the LIC Group and the Ministry of Education.
Now shifting your attention towards some international developments. The leader of Russia's 24-hour mutiny, Yevgeny Prigozhin, has arrived in Belarus 3 days after his Wagner mercenary group's mutiny came to an end, 200 kilometers south of Moscow.
Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko announced, claiming credit in arranging his exile. Quote, yes, indeed he is in Belarus today. Unquote.
Я вижу, Пригожин летает уже на этом самолете. Да, действительно, он сегодня в Беларуси, как я и обещал. Если вы хотите какое-то время у нас
Prigozhin's whereabouts had been a mystery since he was filmed driving off in southern Russia on Saturday night. His private jet was tracked flying into the Belarus capital Minsk on Tuesday. Meanwhile, 8 people have been killed, including 3 children, by Russian missiles that hit the center of Kramatorsk in eastern Ukraine. A restaurant and shopping area were hit in the city, which is under Ukrainian control but close to Russian-occupied parts of Ukraine. 2 of the children whose bodies were pulled from the rubble were aged 15 and 12. Rescuers are continuing to search for people trapped under the debris. According to Ukrainian emergency services, at least 56 others were injured in the strike.
In sports, it's cricket. The Super Sixers round to qualify for the 2023 ICC Cricket World Cup will get underway on Thursday in Zimbabwe.
Following the results from the first round that was held, Sri Lanka hosts Zimbabwe, Oman, Netherlands, Scotland and West Indies qualified for the Super 6 stage. Sri Lanka stands in the top spot with 4 points due to their impressive net run rate, whilst the host Zimbabwe takes second ranking also with 4 points. The first game of the Super 6 stage gets underway tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Sri Lankan time, and Zimbabwe will play against Oman in this match. During this round, Sri Lanka is scheduled to play against Netherlands, Zimbabwe and West Indies in their 3 games. Sri Lanka will face the Netherlands on Friday and the host Zimbabwe on Sunday, and their final match, this stage, will be held on the 7th of July against West Indies. Following these matches, the teams who hold the top 2 spots based on the points will be qualified for the 2023 ICC Cricket World Cup in India. We are ready to bring you all the matches of this tournament live on TV1 and the official website of Sirasa TV. Additionally, all the Sri Lankan matches will be telecast live on Sirasa TV.
And with that, we wrap up primetime news for tonight.
Do stay with News First as Face the Nation is coming up next. Good night and take care.